Good afternoon / evening, everybody. It's definitely evening. It's been a long week, late. I'm so excited. It's Dr. Sean, the physical therapy application coach. And tonight we are with Charles, who has been accepted to physical therapy program. He's actually our first applicant of this cycle to be accepted. So congratulations, Charles. Do you want to tell everybody where you've been accepted? And then we can kind of roll from there.
All right, thank you so much, Sean. So I was accepted to Northwestern, and I actually applied to their early decision cycle, which is super early, and they will give out early decision, pretty much acceptance or rejections before September the 15th. I actually got mine on September the 7th, which is really early,
Yeah,
and
man.
that's actually really amazing, and I couldn't believe that, to be honest.
I could. As soon as we met, I was like, Charles has got this in the bag. And we were just talking before we finished the call, or started the call, I should say, about how nice that is for you to just be done for the rest of the season.
Oh,
to
yeah,
just
absolutely.
focus on school, and you kind of are like not coasting for school, but like it's pretty, you're playing with house money at this point, right?
Right. It's like a totally different mindset. I'm not like stressed all over the place. It's really great.
And there you go. That's for applicants who are like, what's the benefit of applying early and getting answered early? So then you can be done and you can relax a little bit. So that's awesome. Awesome. So Charles, let's rewind a little bit. Like we kind of got to the good part first. Tell people who are listening a little bit more about you and about your story, where you from, and how did we kind of leading up to when you started applying.
Okay, so a little background about me. So I'm actually not a U.S. citizen, and I don't have green cards, any of these. I'm actually an international student. I'm from China. So when I was picking the programs, it's actually a little bit tricky for me because I can't just apply for any program, because a lot of programs actually don't open to non-US citizens. So I actually have to, my first step when looking for programs is actually to see, do you guys take international students? That's my first step before anything,
Right.
really. And then I was looking at a bunch of schools, and I found I'm not sure like how many international students will be applying to PT schools. I know it's not like crazy popular among international students.
It's growing, man. I feel like it's there's more and more people coming and asking questions every year. So it's growing.
Oh, that's great. But if I feel like the useful information is like just go to APTA, and then there's I think the little filter of, you have to do a little digging there. There's actually one filter says programs with visa or with non-visa, these kind of things, and that will pretty much sort out the programs that will actually accept international students, and that's pretty easy for my search.
So you're talking about like the program directory via PTCast that lets you kind of filter out. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, regardless of an applicant situation, this is something that we hound on here at Physical Therapy Application Coaches. Like, you have to find programs that fit your profile as an applicant, like step one. So you're spot on. Like, you got to find programs that'll accept international students, period. Right. And that was where you started. So continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I did go to school in the US. I'm actually in Grinnell College right now, which is in Iowa. And I actually went to US for high school as well. So yeah, I've been here for a long time, and that's pretty much how I got in touch with PT in the first place. And what I felt like, if I have to say one thing that I feel like is a couple of things that are the most important in my application process is, first, start really early. Like you don't necessarily have to start doing things early necessarily, but definitely start planning and looking for things. It's like I wanted to be a PT pretty much before I went to college, honestly. I could have went to a college that provides like something like a 3+3 program that directly goes to PT programs. But then again, I came to Grinnell College, but because I really like the school. But anyway, even if it's like, even you start thinking about it after you got into college, I think it's fine, but you will need to get started after a bit. My situation is actually a little bit special because of COVID and everything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do any shadowing or these kind of things in my first 2 years, actually. So in my freshman year and sophomore years, I couldn't do any shadowing whatsoever. I got my first shadowing hour a month after my third year started. So I started planning super early, but I started doing things very late. But yeah, it came out really great, and just things just fell right into place.
So let's talk about that and expound on that a little bit more, Charles, because I love this point, right? Even though your plan didn't go as you thought it would, how did all that preparation that you put in beforehand lead to your eventual success when you could start shadowing?
So in my first 2 years, since I couldn't do any shadowing, all these kind of stuff, so the only thing I could really do is to just go online, go to different websites or Reddits or these kind of things, and read about other people's opinions or experiences about these. And I found, well, the first thing I found is you need shadowing hours to go to PT schools. Uh, that seems pretty obvious to probably most applicants, but before I started looking, I didn't even know you actually need shadowing hours. That's actually something to keep in mind. And then there are a lot of schools that some schools require GRE, some schools don't. And for example, for students like me, some schools will require like a second language, like English proficiency exams like TOEFL or IES, IET, something like that. Yeah, and I mean, the situation might be different depending on where you go to college or if specific programs, but that's also something to look for. So I really dug pretty deep in my first 2 years, go to different website and actually just try to look up as much information as I can. And also, for example, even shadowing, I try to prepare for these. I try to learn. I actually looked up what should I do when I'm shadowing. Like, should I ask questions? Should I, for example, chat with patients? These kind of things. And that really helped. It's not just shadowing itself. You're gonna do some homework before that.
For sure, for sure. And thank you for that answer. That's perfect. It's just if you feel stuck and you don't know what to do, like do something. You know what I mean? Like there's always stuff you can research, programs you can reach out to and contact. Did you, even during those first 2 years, did you start trying to make relationships with locations to shadow? Like were you trying to contact people and say like, hey, can I come yet? So like what did you do to eventually crack that door and get in for your first shadowing experience?
So my first year, I actually didn't contact any locations because I was so scared. Like my first year, I think it was like 2019, 2020, COVID first kicked in. And I was super scared that as long as I go outdoor, I will get the virus and die. So
No.
I would definitely not go to, I definitely didn't go to hospital at that time. But in my second year, when the lockdown really taking place in a lot of different states, my school was in complete lockdown, so everything is virtual in my second year. I actually tried to contact different locations, and none of these actually accepted students for shadowing. And I actually went to Wisconsin for summer school for anatomy and physiology classes in my second year's summer. And I remember that very clearly because I emailed and called I felt like over 30 different clinics or hospitals or locations, and none of these accepted students. Well, I was just I was just really upset. But
Uh,
after school started, a couple of locations actually began to start accepting students. So yeah, just gonna keep trying, and you never know, honestly.
right, right. If you don't ask them, you don't keep asking, you're never gonna know. But if you ask enough, they might be like, oh yeah, we gotta call Charles back. He's called like 15 times.
Right, right. Honestly, it was like that. It was pretty crazy. It was a wild experience. I don't think a lot of people will experience. I hopefully not a lot of
Yeah,
people will experience in the
no more,
future.
no
But
more. So that's
right,
yeah, yeah. But either way, like sometimes there's people who are in they're in an underserved community and they're having a hard time accessing it. I think what you're talking about is true regardless of COVID restrictions or not. Just the value of being persistent and continuing to plan and to contact people and to reach out and to try to network. Um, those are things that are only going to help you in the future, even if it feels frustrating in the moment, like you're not getting exactly what you're shooting for. So thank you. That's
right.
a good explanation for that. Okay, so now let's talk about like you get ready to apply. Your sights are set on Northwestern. What is it? What was it about Northwestern that made you really want to go there?
Well, that's okay. This is not something I wrote on my application, but it's um
Doesn't matter. You're in
the
now. They
the
can't hold it
first
against you.
yep, the first reason I wanted to go to the Northwestern is I went there for a campus visit for my undergrad, actually. And I went to their Evanston campus, and I was like, it is so pretty. I want to go there in the future. And yeah, so I started digging to their information a little bit. And then I saw they affiliate with the Shirley Ryan Lab, which is a very great research facility for rehab and neuroscience and these kind of stuff, and they offer really, really great clinical experience. And that's something I look for, almost like number one in a PT program, is hands-on experience. Because I really believe like everything needs practice, and more practice means better clinician.
For sure. For sure. No, I think again, like looking for your profile, you found a program that had the type of experiences that you wanted. So I think it's good that applicants they don't only think about like which programs are going to like me, but which programs am I going to like and do I want to go to? So spot on both points with that. It's find where they will accept you, and then find the ones that you will feel accepted and you get what you want out of the program. And I couldn't agree more. Like I think clinical experiences, like the length of the program, so like programs that are shorter or more condensed, and then programs that give you more clinical experiences, like that's where you're going to get your money's worth out of those programs. Like yes, the classwork and the bookwork is good and it's valuable, but it's not going to do you much good unless you actually get to apply it and get your hands on patients, right?
Right.
And even now, like I joke with other providers that I probably use like 5 to 10% of what I learned in school, just because when you get your job, you're in a more specific niche, right? Like, and
Right.
so you're really good at that 5 to 10%, but you're not like, I'm not using all the stuff I learned about wound care, on a consistent basis. Like, yeah, someone comes in with a post-op dressing, I know how to take care of stuff like that, but it's not, it's not all of the stuff that you learn in PT school that's in your brain. So what will stay in your brain is the stuff that you actually implement in the clinic when you're on your rotations. So I think that's a really good thing that a lot of applicants probably don't think about is really dig into those, look at the clinical rotations and the things that they offer you. I think that's great advice. Okay, so now let's transition a little bit and talk about how you found out about physical therapy application coach.
So again, it was in my first 2 years. I was just searching the internet, really just going through everything, and I was trying to see like if there's actually some resources that can help me with my application, because I honestly didn't know how to start. I only know I should go to shadow hours and start writing my personal statement, and that's pretty much it. And I honestly I don't even know how to write my personal statement. So I just
Poor
yeah, I
Charles.
honestly didn't know. I just went on YouTube and just scrolling through different videos about PT application, and you just popped out. And I pretty much just went through a lot of your videos, and it's super helpful. And yeah, it has been really great.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's honestly, like I used to do a bunch of stuff through Instagram. I still might, but I've devoted more of my attention to YouTube because like that's where people find me the most, right? And that's how you can figure out like if this is even worth trying. Like come get some free information, some tidbits, some things that you can use. And then if you want additional help, then we've got coaching available for you. So because you did early decision, you only had to sign up and do essay coaching, right? And we also did we do a little bit of application coaching too? Yeah, we did like consulting
Yeah,
stuff.
it was like
Yeah,
at the very beginning,
at the
like
very beginning, we kind of
yeah,
helped guide you through the process.
yeah, like six
Yeah,
month ago. It was pretty
perfect.
early.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. And then so we did the application consultation coaching, and then we also did the essay coaching as well. How do you feel like those services made a difference in your application?
Uh, let's see. Well, the first was the consultation coaching. That was like a long time ago. And back then, I hadn't even finished my shadowing hours, and I was like really worried. Like, what am I supposed to do next? Because I just finished my shadowing at my first location, and I was in the process of looking for my second location. Because like I'm in a small town, and it wasn't very convenient to like there weren't a lot of locations available to me, so I have to look pretty hard. That's worrying. What if I just can't find anything? And like I need someone to talk to me. What's the next step? And so I found you, and it's not really something like videos can help because like everyone's situation is a little bit different. You can't just make
Yeah,
a generalized statement for everybody because really everyone's different. GPA different, GRE different if they're going to use one, and yeah, everything is different. And then the essay coaching is really helpful because like I honestly I'm really bad at writing personal statement or essays or these kind of stuff
you
because
poor guy.
like yeah I'm like
Be
I
nice to my
really
friend
don't
Charles. He did pretty good.
yeah I mean I really don't like these kind of stuff. I hated it when I was doing this for my undergrad. It was just miserable.
uh,
But yeah, I just like muscle through and pretty much like what I learned through the process is just to basically present yourself as you are. And at the end of the day, it's not that difficult because it is just who you are. You just kind of tell people that. I mean, I guess it is something like most people are not used to, especially if they want to become PTs. But I'm making a generalization. Like most PTs don't feel like talking about themselves or brag about themselves, but essentially that's what the essay is for.
sure, absolutely. Yeah, I loved your comments, right? Like personalized coaching, personalized answers. It's just like the PT profession, right? Like if someone had back pain, could they go look up exercises online? Yeah, sure. There's a million websites that'll tell you things that you can do if you have back pain. But in terms of like getting personalized coaching, knowing when to move on to the next phase, right? That's that it's the same thing, and that's part of why it's easy for us is because I go to work during the day and I'm a PT, and then I come home at night and then I'm helping you guys, and it's largely you create a plan of care, and then you are executing that plan of care, and looking at your short term and your long term goals along the way. Um, and then with essays, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like it's learning how to present yourself. But for me, my favorite part is when we go from like them just saying like, I think I'm like this, to when they write their essay or I read part of their essay and they actually believe that they have those attributes and that they're going to be a good PT.
Mhm.
And that's the majority of like, kind of the smoke and mirrors behind everything that we're doing. Like, yeah, we're telling stories and we're talking about your strengths. Ultimately, my goal is to get you to believe that you are going to be a great PT, that you deserve to be here, that you have what it takes. Because that's what programs are looking for. They want to see someone who's confident and self-assured that they have what is needed to be a successful PT. So I'm glad you arrived at the outcomes I was hoping you would arrive at. You got a personalized plan, and you believe that you can move into that role and be a PT. And look at you now. You're on to the next phase, on to Northwestern.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
So go ahead.
Right. And like one thing, probably like I'll add, like probably like most people don't even realize, is like I'm going to talk about Sean's rate. His rate is like crazy reasonable. I feel like most people don't even realize that, because like what I did before when I was, because I'm from China, we had a whole industry of pretty much like application coaches. Like there's an entire industry of application coaches for studying abroad, basically mostly for going to colleges or high schools in the US or UK. And their rates, I'm not going to give specific numbers, but it's about 10 to 100 times off John's rate. And I'm not even joking.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe I should charge more.
Crazy.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but like I have to say, like I mean, Sean's a PT, and his rate is like about comparable to what he's doing as PT. So
right.
It's like, I mean, it's really he's really trying to provide help, I would say.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. It's a tough ask when you've got, like, I know you guys are college kids and you're not loaded, right? But we still have it's a valuable service that we can help provide, and it's something that I think it gives you some skills that kind of translate even beyond PT. So thank you. I appreciate that feedback. That's valuable there. So Charles, if you were going to give, I know you gave a couple pieces of advice, right? Like plan ahead, make sure you find the programs that fit what you're looking for. Get a coach in some way, shape, or form, someone to kind of help guide you along the process. Is there anything else that you would recommend to applicants, giving some final words of advice before we finish the interview?
Well, I guess like it's just there are like 100 ways to skin cats, I guess. Like everyone's different. Like everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Like for example, my weakness is my shadowing hour. At least the way I see it. And I mean, some people's weakness might be their GPA, or their different, for example, extracurricular activities, something like that. But everyone's different. So like it at the end of the day, I would say, as long as you find your strength, you're going to be a good clinician in your own field. So like, because like there are like 100 specialties, different niche, like PT field is pretty broad. So as long as you can make yourself a strong clinician, it's fine. And I'm sure the programs will see that.
I love that. So learning to embrace who you are as a person with the eventual goal of using that to be a great clinician. I love that. That's great advice. Great advice. Well, Charles, I'm going to miss you. I love your energy. You always have this very fun, happy, optimistic attitude about you, and I'm sure your future patients are going to love that. Well, I keep saying at the end of these videos, we're going to have to check in and do a follow-up video. I'm going to need to start going through and reaching out to some of these people, see if I can do some of these interviews. But I'd love to reach out in the future and see how things are going at Northwestern. I'm sure you're going to do fantastic. There's definitely going to be some hard challenges that you're going to go through, but that's a good thing, right? Like you need to be pushed. You need to be challenged, because you're an incredibly smart guy, and you're going to do great things in the profession wherever you end up. So thank you for taking the time. And I'm sure whoever's watching this appreciates your insight and your perspective.
Thank you so much.